My name is Travis Skinner, and this is my house, the Leaf Spring. This started out actually with a 1984 Terry Taurus camper. I talked to a friend and told him that I was thinking about building a tiny house and that if he came across a trailer to let me know. 3 months later he called because his neighbor had 8 trailers that were all water damaged and destroyed. So I went up to his place, picked up this trailer for free, and I demoed the house and salvaged what I could. And then it kind of just was one step after another, you know. I didn't think too far in advance. I just tried to stay focused on what the step was I was on. Kind of one thing unique I did when framing, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but it had a lot to do with my process, was to not have anything figured out. I had no design. I just put the walls up, and then I put a table inside the walls, and I sat there, had tea, and thought about where I wanted windows. And then when I was like, I want a window here, I got out a saw and cut a window. So it was kind of, you know, one thing after the next, just keep on keeping on. It kind of took the name the Leaf Spring because the leaf springs on the trailer acted as the connection between the axle and the frame. It was kind of what gave the tiny house its jurisdiction, is the connection between a steel frame and some wheels. One of the important exterior details is I used a rain screen siding, which means that there's a furring strip and it's on each stud member and it holds the siding out. There's a mesh net at the bottom and then holes at the top. Through convection, heat pulls in the bottom and circulates and pulls it out. In the Northwest, the best thing to do isn't to just try to keep water out, but to design for when it gets in, how do you allow airflow to hit it to dry it out? You know, in any house, doors are one of my favorite parts. You know, it's the portal, it's the entranceway, and so I wanted to build some cool doors. Another element was my back door, which is kind of a window. It's an awning style window. I definitely got a lot of ideas about that window from Abel and seeing Abel's work. I actually made that window in his shop, I think, the majority of it. Alright, well here's the kitchen. I did forge work on the brackets and you can see there's a sun here. So I forged the pieces, welded them together. All the brackets are handmade. I made a simple gravity-fed water system. And then I made this pot rack to keep my dishes overhead and out of the way. I got back from Sunrays when I was building this crazy cedar dome, and there was all this leftover wood, and I would just, at the end of the day, I'd like grab 3 nice looking boards and toss them in my van and be like, sweet, you know. And when I got home, I had a couple boards, and I was like, I want to build my cabinet out of these free dome boards. And I had seen this latch when I was at Wharton Eschericks. I loved it because there was no handles on the door. And I was like, that is so ingenious. And he made it, there's this little horseshoe piece of wood, and you open it just by pushing on it. The living room features this bench. It's kind of a cool design element. And I took these 1x cedar boards and I ripped them with a jigsaw on the line of the grain. I wanted to build a space where I could have a desk and a seating area, but then I could also feed a couple people if we needed a dining room table. The runners for the table on the wall, they slide out, and then the leaf is on hinges, is the not super usable chalkboard, and the table just slides together, and I forged these snake hinges that fold the leaf down, and then now in this space you can feed 6 people around the table. And then I guess the loft. the last component is my bed. I designed it like a futon mattress frame. There's all these strips of wood that have airflow between them. Moisture is just a constant issue in the Northwest. And if your mattress, if it sits on a flat surface with no airflow, then it'll sweat, create an environment for mold to grow, and you can have mold underneath your mattress. It's very common. I built 2 ladders. You just step above the heater on this black locust board, and then you can grab the forged handles and then just walk right up. And I had my mom just come and stay. She's 60 years old and can do it. But yeah, you just climb up like that, and then you can just hop back here. You got the bed, and then the way I really like to climb up and down is this monkey bar staircase, and it's just fun, you know, just every day waking up I really like swinging down. Reminds me of just being a kid. The other element of the loft is the window that we saw from the outside, that awning style window I was talking about. I really like it a lot because it gets hot up in the loft. So the door is designed so if when I'm hot, I can just lean over and kick the bottom of the door and get airflow. Just kick the top of the door, you can slide it back down, and I put a little handle that you can grab and pull. I have a dog, his name's Pyle. He's my buddy, and he encourages me every day to wake up and get outside. Okay. That's what we do when we wake up. Okay, leave it. Al bosque, pero vale. So each morning we walk a pathway down to the creek, kind of just get acclimated into the world, not inside a box, but what's actually happening. And every day when I get back from my walk, I feel like 1,000 times better. My mind's been cleared, I'm not thinking at all about what I was thinking about, and I'm just experiencing what's going on today. The act of being inspired to design with intention, create, and then experience. That process, the artistic experience, once you start stepping into that realm, you start seeing that you can put intention in your design in almost any medium. The leaf spring was the first time where I could put my intention into something that was mine. It seems like that's a big obstacle for a lot of creative people, is that they don't want to invest into something they don't own, because then they're doing the work and not receiving the eventual reward for it. The act of learning is directly affected by one's lifestyle. Therefore, lifestyle becomes a part of the practice. When your lifestyle is encompassed in practice, there's these philosophical questions that develop, and one must establish their own morals and ethical ideals. Those ideals lead one to seek for fulfillment in their actions. You have to ask, what is fulfilling to you? As you create and then learn from that creation, then you experience and decide whether that creation is fulfilling. And then you move on to continue to do it if it is fulfilling. Because it's for you, it's your own reason. You don't have to answer to anyone. You create for that fulfillment because it's the right thing. It becomes natural. The design has intention, that design leads to creation, the creation is then experienced. When you find a flow, you bring all three of these elements together, so you're simultaneously designing, creating, and experiencing. Process evolves and then is influenced by every other human and their processes. As you develop your own process, then you meet other people that kind of steer you in little directions of the path. And they allow the path to be opened up. And that's why I'm here talking to you, is because you have to experience other people's processes in order to develop your own. So the more that we are then exposed to the artistic experience, the more that we can find and seek that in ourselves.
Thanks for watching. I uploaded the full 25-minute tour where Travis goes a lot more in-depth on the details and design of his house over on the Patreon page. If you're interested in seeing that, extra content, or just want to become part of the team, hop over to the Patreon page. Thanks again. I will see you next week. Ciao.